Hi, this is episode 5 of Rory's Table Tennis Topics. We've got 3 new guests, one of which is having some technical difficulties, so hopefully he'll join us shortly. We've got Harry Yip, who is the number 6 under 14 in England. We've got Danny Lawrence, former junior number 1. Is that right, Danny?
Junior number 2.
Junior number 2. And we've now got Daniel Basterfield, who is the head coach of Greenhouse. Okay, so what I'm going to do is everybody is going to give a bit of an introduction to how they got started in table tennis and how they progressed and where they're at now. Okay, so we start with Harry. You can start.
All right, so firstly, I didn't really have any interest in table tennis. And then obviously I went to Hong Kong, and obviously it's an Asian country, so it's quite big there. And I saw my cousin playing. And yeah, I just kind of got interested from there in Hong Kong, watching him play at a club.
What age?
And he was quite good. He was about 16 back then.
No, what age were you?
Oh, I was about like seven-ish. I'm 14 now.
Okay.
So around 7, 8, I came back to England, got started at a club, started practicing. Entered my first tournament was one of the Euro tournaments. Entered that and kept going from there because I quite enjoyed the sport. So yeah.
How did you find the club?
Obviously, I wasn't serious at the start, so I just went for the closest one to me, which was obviously Horsham Table Tennis Club. And then yeah,
I guess you don't know how you found out about the club, do you?
I think my mum just searched up local table tennis clubs, to be honest.
Okay.
All closest ones to us.
So I'm Horsham Spinners. I run Horsham Spinners Table Tennis Club, and Harry's main club has been Horsham, although he has done some stuff at Horsham Spinners as well. Okay, and then do you want to tell us about how much you're training and what you're doing now? Well, during lockdown necessarily, but before lockdown.
Yeah. So before I was quite busy. Obviously, my mom's very pushy in terms of both academics and like other curricular stuff. So I used to be very bombarded with stuff like guitar and stuff like that. But as I've got older,
don't forget the gymnastics and the synchronized swimming.
Yeah, we can ignore that. We can ignore that.
Jesus.
Dark times of my life, but no, I was lucky enough to quit those a couple of years back. So
and
trying to practice. Yeah, my mom wanted me to learn Mandarin. I got about halfway there, and then I quit because too much homework. No, but when I've got older, I've been trying to practice more. Still keeping up with my academics and also my guitar examinations. So.
But
how much balance between
how much table tennis are you doing?
I probably get about 2 coaching sessions a week. I help out at a club session once a week as well. And Saturday and Sundays are either practice days or match days, or tournament days. So it just depends what I've got on the weekend. So about 3 or 4 training days. In
the lockdown, you've been playing on your robot at home, I believe.
Yeah, the robot's not great. Obviously, table tennis robots can be quite expensive, so you make do. Yeah, it's all right. I've been trying to practice a bit, trying to get lots of serves in. Right. Yeah.
Okay, good. And I know we've played a few times in the park in the wind, but it's been okay.
Yeah.
So Danny, just want to give us a bit of a rundown of how you got started in table tennis, how you went through your career. Maybe why you stopped and what you're looking to do in the future.
Danny Lawrence. So I started when I was about 8 or 9, purely because my granddad was a table tennis coach in schools. And the Wi-Fi's gone. Lovely.
It's okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? All right. You all froze. Yeah. So my granddad coached in schools, and obviously I just went along and started playing then. Probably broke into the English national team when I was 13 or so. And then from the age of 14, I was number 2 till the age of 17 in my age group, always behind Helshan from Sussex. So played internationally, played British League Premier, for 7 years, and played in Sweden for 6 or 7 years. And I went to 3 European Youth Championships. Then I moved when I was 16 to Grantham College and played full time. And then I decided to quit for a number of reasons. One being career, I wanted a proper job. 2 is that I went to the European Championships in my last year as a junior and decided that I wasn't as good as maybe as I thought I would or thought I could have been. And now the plan is I'm going to play British League for Rory next year. Mm-hmm. And one of my best mates is Dave Wetherell, who's a Paralympian. So anything I can do to support him for the Paralympics next year is just a laugh and a bit of a bonus.
Yeah, so it's going to be you, Ove Carlson, me and Dave Wetherell. So it should be fun.
And of course Ove Carlson was one that was a massive, like, he was the one that introduced me when I went to Sweden when I was like 13, and he kind of come along into Tunbridge Wells where I live quite at the right time because he was the one that pushed me on to move on and get better.
Just going back to what you were saying about, you and Helshan, 1 and 2. My first memory of you was as an 8-year-old playing National Cadet League in Tunbridge Wells, and Helshan was the same age. And I used to coach Helshan back there from when he was 8 to about 11 when he moved to Kent. And yeah. I remember, he was very good for his age the whole way through. And I remember the first day, or maybe I think it was the first day, he got 10 out of 10 or whatever it was, and you got 0 out of 10. And
cheers, Rory. And now you remind me why I don't play anymore. Cheers.
No. But I'm trying to say that you obviously closed the gap quite a bit. You made it. I don't think you ever beat him, but you obviously narrowed the gap.
Massively. And obviously, when Helshan moved to Kent, he moved to Tunbridge where I live. So he literally lives about a 2-minute walk from my house now. So I closed the gap definitely. Yeah. I had a couple of match points. But I think it's probably about 50-60-0 to him against me.
Yeah.
It's the reason I never really won a national championship is because he was so much better than me.
Yeah. He was taller when you were both 8. I remember you were tiny. He was a lot taller than you, which would have helped. And
well, I'm not the biggest bloke, but it was obviously that I caught up in size and. He was just technically better than me, and I had a mental block, I think, that I couldn't beat him. But it actually helped me because when he moved to Kent, obviously I went to the training with Daniel and Jason in London twice a week to, I think it was Northolt, and we travelled together. And every time we were in Sheffield, whenever we were in Sheffield at weekends, we get the train together. So he probably enhanced my game massively. But don't get me wrong, I'd have swapped all of that just to beat him once. But yeah, good luck to him.
Yeah, good. Okay, and Daniel, give us a bit of a background how you started in table tennis, maybe your achievements, and then how you got into coaching and what you're doing now.
Yeah, so started table tennis when actually I was 11 years old. I always wanted to be a footballer, to be honest. I loved my football more than table tennis, and went to a school session. I remember having this blue bat. My mum used to work in a community centre and like a youth club type of thing. I had this blue bat and I couldn't play. And it really frustrated me. All my friends were playing at Breakfast Club. I used to go and I was getting beat all the time. I just wanted to win. And I was like, this ain't a sport. This is rubbish. But then in the end, I just got addicted. I just wanted to win. Because I couldn't win, I kept going. So I just went to Breakfast Club after Breakfast Club. It started before school with Jason. And it really went from there. I carried on playing football as my number one sport till I was about 13 years old. So football was my number one sport until I was about 13. And then I got to 13, I got released, and it just changed my whole mindset, really. It was like, okay, what do I want to do now, type of thing. So I took up table tennis. And I remember everyone had like all the kit, like everyone had table tennis trainers, the best bats, and there was me and my old Nike with the straps, not even laces on them, playing table tennis in them. And then, it just got from there. And it got competitive in school. Tony Wilkinson, all people that still play now. I remember I was losing to Tony when I was 12, 13, and I hated it. That's one person I didn't want to lose to. So I said to Jason, right, I'm going to play. I want to play every day. This is what I'm going to do now.
Were you in London Progress, or was it Greenhouse, or what were you in? What club?
It was in a school. So it was in a school. It was in West London Academy in Norfolk. So I started playing table tennis in school. Jason was the full-time coach in our school, so I was quite lucky in that respect. It was a sports academy, so it was really well supported. And table tennis was like become the most popular sport in the school. And yeah, it's really what made me change. I wanted to be a table tennis player. So anyway, I was playing every day. Yeah, just compete. And then Jason said to me, "Oh look, this national cadet leagues, there's this going on, that going on," and it just took off from there. And then all of a sudden, I was playing like 30 hours a week, and that's not even. I was saying to teachers, I was writing fake notes. I'm not proud of it now. I am, because I've done something out of it. I was writing notes saying, "Oh, Jason, this teacher can allow me to miss science, and this teacher can allow me to miss maths." And I used to go and do one-to-ones as much as I can and not attend school, which was quite an experience. And yeah, just went from one thing to another. I ended up playing 4 stars. Ended up getting invited to my first England training camp when I was 14, 15 as a cadet. I finished the cadets at about number 11. And then that really inspired me to go on. I ended up going on as a junior. I think I finished my junior career, I don't know, 7 or 8. But I ended up becoming a national junior champion, which is a great achievement for me. I was the underdog. To be honest, I was just a battler.
Where were you seeded when you won that? What was your seeding position?
I think I was seeded about 7. About 7, I think. Pitchford didn't play, which helped me.
Yeah.
There was a few people. There was a couple. I think Pitchford and Gav didn't play. Everyone else had beaten. I beat Macbeth before and stuff, but he didn't play, which helped me as well. But he always beat me more than I beat him. But yeah, there was no one else that I think if Pitchford or Gav played, it wouldn't have been national junior champion. But thanks to them that they didn't play.
Yeah.
But the era I grew up in, it was still a great achievement. I mean, I had to beat Sean Cullen, I had to beat Kim Day-Bell, I had to beat Richard Andrews. All of these guys that I beat on the day were top players. So yeah, it was a good achievement. Then, to be honest with you, similar to Danny after that, I mean, I won that tournament. I thought I would go on to do more, like play more. And I ended up playing till I was I'm still playing now. But I ended up playing properly till I was about 20, 21. I took myself to Taiwan. I wanted to make it. I made the semi-final of the under-21 nationals, had match points, lost to Richard Andrews. He went on and lost really close in the 5th to Sam Walker. And I thought, okay, I'm going to keep playing. Then I went to uni, hated uni, completely hated it, got in with the wrong people, started doing things I shouldn't be doing. And then I realised that I don't want to go to uni, and then ran Greenhouse and started coaching. I started coaching really young. Started coaching at like 19, 20 really. Then full-time coaching from that age. So.
Do you not play at all anymore? Not even British League or any tournaments or anything at all? No.
I played British League up until the year before this one. So this was the first year I really played. I played for Kingfisher. I was quite loyal in that respect. I always wanted to play for Greenhouse and Progress. That's who I always played with. I remember playing British League with Gareth Herbert and Rushton in my team.
Yeah.
Players like that was amazing. And then, yeah, really and truly, it was. I don't play much now, to be honest. I don't have time. I want to coach. I'm coaching full time, and obviously I've just had a baby, so things have slightly changed for me. Do
you think you'll get back into playing, or you think you'll just leave it, or do you miss it, or what?
You know what? It's hard. It's like Danny. I think I would get into playing if I had a team where I would enjoy it and the buzz was there. I'm not really. I want to just. Me, I love the team environment. I don't really want to play singles. I wouldn't enter a Grand Prix. I'd have no interest in entering a Grand Prix at the moment, which is
a bit like what Garth Kinloch said on one of the ping pong shows. He was like, he's in the table tennis daily team and it's fun and he enjoys it, and he doesn't play that many tournaments. He prefers playing the British League and less pressure. It's just fun. I think before he was seriously in that. So.
Yeah, to be honest, I like the pressure. I like feeling that style. I like the big matches. That's what I play for. I want to play at 9 all, 10 all. That's when I only had hearts. If someone had a head start against me, like the better players did. But I knew if I could hang in there at close points, I loved it. That's what I played for. I played for my heart to race.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I've just lost that. I've lost the. It sounds hard now when I play. I try to explain it even to Jason or anyone I'm around because they say I should play. I'm trying to try. So I'm trying to even try.
Maybe when we get up the divisions, you can join our team.
Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah, hopefully I can join. I wouldn't mind playing in the same team as Danny and there are a few characters there.
Daniel, quick question. Like, I've always wondered this, but obviously I only really knew you through you were coaching and sparring with us as players, and obviously because of Eagle, and obviously Eagle was in, and you were kind of a mentor to Eagle. But do you feel like when you won the year you won the national title, and you didn't get selected for the Europeans, did that like proper hinder your thoughts about continuing, or did you continue to play after that? If that had been me,
it's a good question because I get asked it a lot. It hurt, but I can't blame table tennis England because now I've basically said they made the right decision because I give up.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not going to get picked. When you don't get picked, you can't just give up. There's been lots of people who've been picked. You have to keep going. Obviously, it didn't help because I had a good Masters. I had a few good 4-stars. I won a Nationals. It's like, okay. And the coach, I knew the coach at the time, which was Leaders. I knew he wanted to pick me. That hurt more. So, like, I don't know who made the decision or who was making it. I didn't get a phone call or anything, which, of course it hurts. And which is why I'm so, I want that to change. I want the communication. Communication is really important. Explaining to people why they did get in, why they didn't get in, knowing that you're in people's plans. A lot of the chats have been talking about it. I'm not going to speak about it too much, but I think, of course, it didn't help, but I made the right decision. I give up, and they shouldn't have invested their money. So they definitely made the right decision in not picking me. That's my opinion on it now. After I've had time, if you go and give up from not getting picked once, you're not showing much resilience. So. And I've gone into different things. So, it's a good question. I wanted to ask Harry a question, actually. I don't speak to...
Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it.
Harry, like you said, you give up swimming, you give up guitar. What makes you like table tennis? Why do you play table tennis then? If you give up those and you said that, you don't like those, what is it about table tennis that you like?
I think for those two things in general, like gymnastics and swimming, I was more forced into the sport by my mum. So it wasn't the passion wasn't really coming from me. Whereas table tennis, it was fully my choice to start, and I've made some great teammates and friends along the way. I've met some great people, so I think the reason why I enjoy table tennis so much and I'm keeping going is that I think it just comes from me rather than anyone else. And I think, if for example, if my mum had made me do it from an earlier age, I might not be as enthusiastic. But since it comes from me, I think that gives myself the extra motivation to keep going.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. That's what.
Yeah.
That's a great point. If you're doing it for yourself, that's who you need to do it for. You need to do it for yourself. You need to do it because you love it. If you're doing it for any other reason other than yourself, eventually you will stop. And I think that's happened.
But then, Daniel, you say
play because they're good.
Yeah.
But then
I was just going to say, Harry, a lot of people play sport because they're good at it.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is that if you asked me that question at the beginning, I played. Everyone knows my influence with my granddad. At the beginning, I played for my granddad, and then I played because I was good. And it was only when I was 16 and I started making really good friendships out of it, and like my table tennis mates actually become my mates because of obviously I don't think I fell in love with table tennis until I was 16, like 16, 17. I played it for at the beginning until the age of 13 because my granddad wanted me to play. And then from the age of 13 to 16 is because I was like, you know me quite well. I liked being the best and I liked winning everything and liked competing for England. I don't know if I liked table tennis much more than if I'd been playing football, but then I fell in love with it, and now I love table tennis. I like watching from the sidelines. But do people play for the right reason? I don't believe I played for the right reason until I was at least 16.
Yeah, it's a very good point. I mean, I was never encouraged to play. In fact, I was almost never really given any kind of support as a kid. I started quite late, 15, but it was my decision, and I'm still playing because I love the game. But another thing about Harry is that when he was doing his synchronized swimming and gymnastics, he was probably the only boy as well, weren't you? In those.
There was other people there. They were just.
Cool, mate. If you were the only boy, you're a lucky bloke. I would have carried on.
No. There's
he's a young man. You shouldn't be thinking about those things yet. You're only a young man.
That was like when I was 8 or 9. No, but there's other boys there. They wouldn't be people I'd socialise with outside of it anyway. I mean, their personality, I just.
They weren't cool enough for you, Harry, were they?
It's not about that. It's just about how some, I don't know. It's difficult.
You don't have to say why. The reality is you just love table.
Yeah. Okay, so we move on to the topics then. We've got 3 topics. One of them is whether we should increase the height of the net and by how much and what effect it would have on the sport. So I'll go to Daniel Basterfield first, because it's two Daniels to say his surname. So if you give us your opinion on increasing the height of the net.
It's a really good one. But I think any changes that can make rallies longer will help the sport long term. Any changes that can make it better on TV, to make it more neutralized. Look at the ping pong. I mean, people love it because the rallies are so long. And even like when I speak to even my parents when I was younger, or like as soon as ping pong come on, however long ago it was, my dad actually sat there and watched it. And I was thinking, what? You've never even watched me play table tennis? He's like, yeah, but there's rallies. They go over 3 shots. And it's like, yeah, it's a very good point. So I think it's not any changes in table tennis that can make it more televised, more watchable would be amazing for the sport in general. Because the reason why people do stop playing, whether you're female, male, whatever, is because, you know, there's not much to see. Like, you can't gain anything. You can't live in. You can't do certain things. So if it was more televised and it allowed it to be bigger as a sport, 100% make that net higher. By how much? You wouldn't want it to be serving 50 meters in the air, I suppose, but it's a difficult one. By how much? I've never really thought about it, but if you can make it an inch or two bigger, which is still quite a lot, but an inch or two would change the game massively. It would definitely make the rallies longer. Definitely.
Okay, so you think it would be potentially a good thing? You think?
I think it could be a good thing. Who knows until they do it? But I think table tennis is in this world where people still view it in churches. People still view it. It's slowly changing, but people still view it as, you know, table tennis isn't a sport. If we could get it on TV and people could see the physicality and long rallies, 30, 40, 50 shots, even 10 shots would be amazing. And people started to understand table tennis can only be a good thing for everyone involved.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think any change in table tennis now can't be a bad change. They're bringing out the world table tennis fit. I think it's great. Why not try something? Because what's happening now is not working. So try something. They could, if they made the net higher, they could always go back to going lower.
Yeah, they could try it out.
So trying something new. I think we need to be bolder. As the players need to be bolder, coaches need to be bolder. We need to be open to that stuff, and hopefully people keep playing. So yeah, I think it's a good thing that they're speaking about it and they're considering trying to change something.
Yeah, I think there was some proposal put in about it to the ITTF, and it's been considered, but it was at that time rejected. But they could always put it forward again, I think. So, Danny, your thoughts on this?
Pretty much the same as Basti. I think I think Jason said on the ping pong show recently that the average rally length is like 2.9 shots per rally, which, if you look at Wimbledon on the telly, it's so boring, but people watch it because it's such long rallies. So as Basti said, anything to make him longer is going to make it more appealing and more money. I know now they've just said that you can have multicoloured rubbers. To me, I think that's stupid. But something like the net that's going to actually benefit the game, make it longer, more appealing to TV. What's the worst that can happen?
Colours is to kind of attract new people, to make it a bit more razzmatazz. It's like you're going to have one black rubber and then one bright colour on the other side. We'll see.
Yeah, that's just useless, isn't it?
Yeah, to me, I think that's that's just the money spinner. But for the net, if they're going to do it, they've got to do it, and they've got to stick to it and give it. Like, remember when the plastic? I was still playing when the plastic balls just come in, and everyone was slagging them off and saying that it's crap, they don't want to play anymore. But now, no one says a word about it. So the net.
I think at the beginning the balls were rubbish quality, and they're better now. So that's probably what.
Yeah, but someone like, for me, like if I think of Basti when he's a player, his serves were his one of his best attributes, and that's something that's going to take a long term, like good couple of months to get that rhythm and that the same kind of reward from your serves. But if they're going to do it, they've got to. I think they'd have to introduce the nets before they. I don't think you could just introduce them and say now they're in tournaments. Is what I'm trying to say. You'd need time to adjust to them, because it would be a massive, even like half an inch on top would make such a huge difference from a good serve to you've lost a point, because everyone's taught to get it over the net as low as possible, And then obviously now that's going to be hitting the net if that changes. So you just need time to prepare, and any player can adjust to it. If they've got any basic skills, they'll adjust to it. It just takes time.
Yeah,
I think that's a good point. An inch or two is a lot, actually. Half an inch, like
half an inch is probably enough. Yeah,
half an inch is
an inch is a massive.
I just realised what I said. An inch or two is too big. Half an inch to an inch would actually is a good.
Dan, imagine if you did a serve and it went over like that. That's a good serve. Imagine if you actually were playing on the normal net and you served an inch over and that got smashed past you. You'd be like, "Wow, that's a crap serve." Yeah. That's a massive difference.
I actually think, like half an inch to an inch. I'll change that. Like half an inch to an inch is a good point. If you can make it that, and also, it's like when they changed, Rory obviously used. I only started playing this when this changed, but I remember playing against Gareth Herbert when you could hide the ball. Yeah. He was coach. It was impossible. I'm not joking. It was. And you watch Voldner. I'm not saying impossible, obviously, but couldn't return the serves, and it wasn't good for the game because people couldn't return the serves. They took away that rule. They changed it from 21 to 11. All of a sudden, things were more exciting.
Around about 20 years ago, they brought in those changes. Yeah.
Yeah, but things are more exciting. Definitely 11 is better than 21. Definitely. Yeah. 100%. So
one second, sorry.
If they make the serves,
gives the underdog a bit of a better chance. The 11.
And it's more exciting. I think you're watching someone to 21. I don't think it's exciting.
I guess
it's really this is what you're debating is really good because it's hard to say, but any change would be a good change right now. You can always go backwards.
Other people would argue there's too much change already, but no. Let's let Harry have his word on this, and then I'll give my thoughts. Harry, what's your view?
I mean, before both Dan started talking, to me it's a bit irrelevant, but I can see the points that both of them are making, like if it will be more commercial for the sport. But, if you're going to change it, as Danny Lawrence said, you have to, keep the change and, really push it forwards. You can't, half-ass it. But I think at the moment, I don't think the net's the main issue, to be honest. I think if you were going to change the net, that shouldn't be a priority in changing the sport to make it more publicised. I think there's other ways to do that.
Like what?
I mean, number one, you could advertise it more. You see, Premier League sports and everything, so it's all on the TV and stuff, and you can't really get much coverage of table tennis on the TV and stuff like that.
I think they're trying various stuff with this new world table tennis thing that's coming in.
Yeah, that looks quite cool. I don't really know much about it, but I saw the adverts on Instagram and stuff. And, that looks interesting.
Yeah, there's a I think it was the Pitch and Poll show. They had an episode about that, so it's on YouTube if anybody wants to check that out.
But then going on to that, there is a reason the World Champs of Ping Pong does so well, and that's on Sky Sports Prime Sport.
Yeah. And
Des isn't. It's because of the atmosphere, the social, having a drink while you're there, and the longer rallies. So then, as Dan Basti said, it's got to be longer rallies. No one wants, if you don't know table tennis and you're watching Mar Long and he's just serving and the bloke's put it in the bottom of the net, you'll give it 30 seconds and turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just quickly give my kind of view about the increased height of the net. One good thing, if they were to do it, would be that they wouldn't need to produce new equipment because you've got the net height changers on the side of the table. As long as it wasn't going to be like 2 inches or something, half an inch to an inch, I'm sure most nets would be able to cope with being able to be put up a bit higher just by literally adjusting the adjusters at the side of the net, or I guess some of them might need longer adjuster things, but I think financially it wouldn't be a big issue. Good thing. And yeah, it probably would lead to longer rallies because you couldn't do your flat kills as easily. You couldn't do the really fast top spins. So, I mean, it would kill certain people's games, I think. I mean, I do like a bit of a fast topspin and a bit of a flat smash as well. But I think we'd all get used to it. And I think actually it really takes a lot more skill to do topspin than just a flat smash anyway. And it probably would make the game a lot more skillful. So, yeah, I think why not? Give it a go. I mean, you could always go back after 2 years or something after you've given it a good try. But yeah, I think it's worth thinking about. It's worth trying on a trial basis, maybe. Okay,
It'll be interesting to see what the professionals say.
It would be, yeah, it'd be interesting. It definitely would be. Okay, so I think we'll move on to the second topic. So the second topic is, should coaching be allowed during in between points? I mean, and also whether or not you've actually done it, because they brought the rule in a few years ago. I don't know exactly when, about 4 or 5 years ago, I think. So I don't know, Danny, was it in when you were playing?
No, it wasn't. It come in just after.
So about 4 years ago then, probably, they brought in a rule where you can coach in between points, not obviously during the points. But I don't think many people do it. And obviously, well, I'll tell you what, I'll let everybody else have their thoughts on it, and then I'll give my thoughts at the end.
Wait, is it legal? Is it legal or not?
It is, yes.
It is legal.
You are.
Because I always get told off for it. Like, if someone's coaching me, I always get, like, told off for it.
No, you are allowed to coach in between points, as long as you're not delaying the play. You can't call your player over and take 5 minutes. But if you can call out things, or if they're near the barrier, you can whisper or say something quietly to them or whatever. But you're not allowed to delay the play. So, Danny, you probably haven't experienced it that much, but what would your thoughts be? Do you think it should be allowed, and whatever your opinions are?
My thoughts are that at the higher level, it's been happening for years anyway.
Yeah.
Especially on an international basis, it's never not happened. And also, does it really help? Maybe a little bit. As we spoke about earlier, Helshan and his dad. I think that's one thing that used to wind me up when I was younger. That they would be coaching during points. But you know what? If it's now legal and both sides can do it. The only time I would disagree with it if someone's not got a coach in their corner and one person has, and then I think it's a bit of a disadvantage. However, if you've got 2 coaches and they're both doing the same, they're really I don't see them. It's something you can't control. If you go and pick up the ball from a corner and your coach is in that corner and they whisper something to you, and that's illegal. But to just make it legal, then it's a fair playing field for everyone. So the only time I've ever experienced it is at an international level, when obviously everyone's speaking different languages anyway, and you've got no idea if they're saying come on or they're saying long to the backhand. You have no idea, so just let it happen anyway.
Yeah, good points. Daniel.
Yeah, I think it was happening anyway to a certain extent. That they made it legal. It was happening. People were doing it. It used to wind people up, so I don't know why they made it legal. You might have more insight. I don't. To be honest with you, I love table tennis, but I don't really know why they do things. But it might be out there, but I don't search for why they do it. But yeah, they made it legal. Do I agree with it? I don't like it sitting at cadet league and under 13 competitions, people doing it, because I believe that they have the players. Young people can feel like then you're winning a match for them, rather than them winning it themselves, which I think can be detrimental, if you like, for their experience of knowing what to do and when to do it. I think if you're spoon-feeding people, serve to the backhand, serve to the forehand, serve here, do this, do that, they don't really get the time to think for themselves. So they might be winning that match there and then, which some coaches, they might be coaching a 10-year-old and think that that's the most important match of their life. So everybody coaches differently, whereas I think at a professional level, as an example, if I was coaching Paul Drinkle or Liam Pitchford at 9-all, I might shout out, if he's playing Shushin, serve long to the backhand. Why not? That's just me. He's at an age where he can choose to listen to me or not listen to me, and he'll make his decision based on that. But I think when I see it now in some competitions, I look at some coaches, they're saying to a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old, serve to the forehand, push long to the middle, do this, do that. And I think it can be detrimental.
As a coach, do you do it? Do you call out things, or do you get whispered?
At big tournaments, when I know that it could be, I know I need to. So how I coach people is throughout the year, you'll see tournaments where I want the players to improve, and there'll be tournaments where I need them to perform well if they want to get picked to play for England. So I know the ones where it might be, as an example, with Igor, if he was playing at the national championship semi-final, playing against Danny, and I could win him a match to get him possibly picked for the European change his life, I would say to him, do this. I would use it in that situation. If he's playing in a local league match against someone where it doesn't mean much, I want him to learn and think for himself. And if he does lose, has no impact on his career. Actually, it could benefit him losing. If he self-reflects and says, oh, actually, I lost because I didn't do this, or I could have given my version, I believe it can help them a lot doing that. But I think there's a time and a place for it. I don't think the time and the place is cadet league when someone's trying to develop. But it could be at the Masters, for example. It could be at the if Danny was in a semi-final of the European Championships playing against Charles Morgard, well, I might be the same. He might even be younger than Danny. But if he was playing that and I knew I could win Danny the match to get him into the final, I mean, I would definitely do it. I wouldn't be able to stop myself from doing it. And I would do it. But if Danny was playing against you in a local league match, Rory, I wouldn't say it to him. I would rather him,
need to
the backhand. It would be good for him. I don't think he would lose to you. I might should have said that the other way around. But yeah.
Well, let's see.
Now.
4 years. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, that's it. But no, yeah. So I think it's a fine rule, but I think it's made with common sense, and how you want to use it, how you would use it is up to you, I suppose. For me, there's development tournaments where the kids are trying to develop, and you want them as England players. They need to be able to think for themselves, for whatever country you want to play for, whether it be China. You have to have an element of being able to think for yourself. But then there has to be an element of actually, if this player wins this competition, he will play for England, and it could change his life or her life for the rest of their life. Of course, I'm going to tell them what to do.
Okay,
so,
good
yeah.
point. Harry, your thoughts on this?
I can see both sides. I mean, a positive side is I was playing against a Chinese guy, and they thought I couldn't speak Chinese because I was playing for England at the time. So they were speaking Chinese, and I understood every word of it. So I won the set off that. So sometimes it can benefit you, but generally it happens anyway, even if it's a rule or not. And I think as a player's point of view, personally, I wouldn't want that to happen, especially at close matches, because if it doesn't work out, then you've given yourself an excuse. You can blame the coach. But as a player, I wouldn't. You've got to make that between every set. You've got a timeout. I think if you can utilize those well, you don't really need those in between points. I think that kind of ruins your focus as well. That can distract you. So I think if it's going to happen anyway, you can legalize it. But it's one of those things that, it depends on the coach and player. If they feed off it well, then sure. If you don't, then it's a bit of a noof, really.
Yeah. So I would kind of mirror all of your kind of thoughts on this. So I think the rule was brought in more out of necessity than anything else, because it was happening all the time anyway. People speaking in different languages. Nobody knew if they were coaching or not. You can't know every language. So I think the rule coming in benefited the honest people who were not receiving coaching in between points. It's a bit like the boosting. Boosting should be legalized, because then the people who are abiding by the rules have the choice if they want to do it or not. Whereas at the moment, those people are missing out because they're abiding by the rules, and other people are cheating and they can't be protected. So it's the same with that with the coaching between points. I think it's good to bring the rule in, because now it's more of a level playing field for the people who are honest, or at least the coaches who are honest and not giving feedback in between points. But whether I think that that coaching in between points is a good thing in itself, if everybody was honest, I think it's probably better not to have coaching between points, because it kind of takes the independence away from the player. The player then doesn't have to make their own decisions. My own personal experience of coaching in between points. First of all, I don't do a lot of corner coaching anyway, because I'm usually refereeing. And when I do, I remember shortly after the rule came in, I went to JBL, coaching a JBL team, Junior British League, and I was doing it. I thought, it's a new rule, let's take advantage of it. There weren't many other coaches or players doing it at that time, because it was a new thing, but I decided, look, let's give it a go. It's a new thing. I think I should take advantage of it. I found the players didn't like it. They felt it was disruptive. They felt it was a bit overbearing. they didn't like it. They wanted to be left to their own devices a bit more. That's what I felt. Now, more recently, so I went to National Cadet League this season, to all 4 of them. Did I coach in between points? Maybe the odd time when it was appropriate, but certainly not regularly. And it was only, I don't call out things. I think the first time in JBL, I was calling things out so that anybody could hear, as well as quietly when they were near to you. But now I certainly wouldn't be bothered calling things out, because that, I mean, you're telling the other person can hear. It doesn't really work. I might have a quiet word to somebody if they're picking a ball up near the barrier, but I don't think it'd be a regular thing. And I think what Daniel said, correct. You know, there's a time and place for it. Professional level, it's probably more appropriate. Beginner level, let them a bit more to their own devices. I mean, like I said, it can backfire a bit on the coach if the coach is, you know, giving too much information. It can confuse the player or frustrate them. So I think it's okay that the rule is there. I think people just need to use it appropriately and correctly to get the benefit out of it for the players and themselves. So
I think sorry, Rory, 2 things to add. I think I've used it once in a big match at the National Championships. It was when it first came out. I was coaching Jamie Lou, and I used it in the semi-final. I think it was against, I don't know who it was against. It might be, I don't know who it was against anyway, but I made sure the other person heard me, because I knew they'd be more nervous if they knew what was coming.
Yeah.
Sometimes that, you know, if I said to you, serve long to Danny's forehand, and he's waiting for it, he knows it's coming, but you can almost get more nervous that way. So I've done that to my advantage too, but I've said it really loud, saying, just serve long for his forehand. Just serve long there.
Yeah. Okay.
Shaking. So,
yeah.
So that, you know, but, and also another thing that you could argue, I mean, he's just playing devil's advocate, that you could argue that rule means that the player and the coach relationship has to be better.
Yeah.
So if you are using it, the player and the coach have to trust each other, and you have to stick together when, you know, one of you makes a mistake and one of you, you know, either loses a match or wins a match. You have to stick together. I think if your relationship with the player isn't great and you're using that, and the player, like Harry said, players can go, "Oh, you lost me that match." I mean, if you've got that kind of relationship going on, that's toxic. But if I was coaching Igor, or as an example, if Jason was coaching me and Jason said serve long for the forehand and the guy hit it past me, I would still believe in Jason that he said that because he wanted me to win. I wouldn't say to him, I lost because of you. We lose together, we win together. And I think it's how you sell it to your players. If you sell it like, look, when we win together. When we lose together. And sometimes I'm going to make mistakes as the coach. Sometimes I'm going to get the tactics wrong. Sometimes
it's a trust thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that it does build relationships between players and coaches. So there is positives that come out of it. But yeah, let's move. It's just an opinion.
So when I was coaching at JBL, like I said, I don't do a lot of corner coaching. So I'm normally either playing my own tournaments or refereeing or whatever. Because we hadn't really, you know, and it was a new rule. They weren't used to it. I think they didn't like it and they didn't know what to expect. I didn't tell them or speak to them in advance that I was going to do it. So I think that would have been appropriate. Sit down, say, look, agree whether they want coaching in between points, whether they don't, or, you know, how much. They don't want it every point. They might want it at appropriate times. I think you've got to discuss this with your player and build a relationship, which in the past I've been guilty of not doing. The other point that you said about the other person knowing, you know, being able to hear your coaching, I suppose at beginner level, if you have something that you know that when your player does it, they're going to win the point regardless, then it doesn't really matter if the other person can hear it. So if they've got a really good serve and the other person can't get it back, then you just tell them it doesn't matter if the other person hears because they can't get it back anyway. So there are points you could use it when the other person can still hear.
I mean, it does work because I used to, my backhand's not, you know, especially strong, you know, right now, but it was much weaker a year or two ago. And then at some big matches at 4 Stars, some kid's dad would call out, serve long to his backhand. And I would get super nervous. I mean, 50-50, it would sometimes work. I would sometimes, you know, hit a whopper because, you know, I'm waiting. But I mean, I think it's the overthinking. But also on the other player's side, the player's coach who says that player will be like, should I do it? Is he waiting? Would he hit it past me? You know, you get loads of overthinking. So I think it really depends on the moment.
It's coming back to games,
That's a good point, Harry. Like me, I like playing off instinct. I'm an animal. I like
Yeah.
playing off instinct. I don't want to know what's coming up. When it comes, I'm gonna deal with it. That's my type of character. If I know what's coming, feels like I'm already moving before the ball's come. I'm not hitting the ball where I want to be hitting the ball. It's like practice really. When you know where the ball's going, everything's like robotic. If the ball slightly changes, you're screwed. So yeah, I'm like you. I wouldn't like to know what's coming. I'd rather not know.
Yeah.
It depends.
Right.
I had the
When I was
same
younger-
problem with you. I had no backhand either. Don't worry, son. I can't still backhand now.
And I'll back that up either. I didn't have a backhand either. So anyone in this group that want to teach any of us a backhand, you're more than welcome.
Just do what Rory does. Put pimples on it. You might
Well,
be
that's what I did. I hadn't got a strong backhand either. Went to Pimples. My backhand it's actually stronger than what it was before I went to Pimples. But anyway, that's another story. Okay, so I think we'll move on to the final topic, which is, I think it's quite a big topic. How
I
important
think it's a great topic.
that clubs, local clubs to each other, collaborate and work together, because I think there's a real problem in table tennis in my area, but not just in my area. I think it's more or less the whole country. There are exceptions, of course, but clubs within the same town, they're almost rivals, and they're like competing against each other. And a lot of time, there's little or no collaboration or cooperation between clubs, and I think it's a shame. I mean,
I think it depends on the area.
it does depend on the area. Some areas have good
I
work.
think every area has a problem with it, no matter where it is. Some areas are better than others, but every area's got a problem with it.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
I've been guilty of it as well. Obviously, as a full-time coach, you want to kind of keep your players. You want them going to another club, losing them, and you lose financially, and you lose not just financially, but you also just lose good players from your club, for example. But I think maybe if the clubs were more prepared to work together, you'd have less people leaving. For example, if coaches were happy for players to play in both clubs, and so on. Anyway, let me pass the question on. I'll pass it to Harry first.
okay.
So Harry's main club is a different club from mine. His is Horsham, mine is Horsham Spinners, in the same town. So Harry, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I've got quite. I mean, I can say quite a lot about it, but I'll try and like concise it down. I mean, first of all, in Horsham, in our area, there's not many, players, to be honest. Not many players who really want to, bridge that gap. So I think in our areas, when there's smaller people, that's when we really need to collaborate. In London, you've got quite a few players. You've got, Greenhouse, London Academy, quite big clubs. But especially in our smaller areas, we really need to collaborate. And I think the rivalry, has set people like me and Jacob back, because obviously, our club, the high people who were down from older in the club line wouldn't want us going to yours. And obviously, if we were at yours, then I'm pretty, sure you wouldn't want us going to Horsham either. So it kind of, because for example, I could play British League for you, and then I'll probably be shunned by my club. But I think there's lots of paths to explore in terms of like club collaborations. You could have like club leagues, friendly club leagues. If you have rivalry, you can, market that and make that really big. Be like, Greenhouse and London Academy are quite, big rivals. I mean, I guess because from London. But if you have, if a smaller area, I think you really need to start collaborating to get one club or two clubs that work together really well, just so you can push those players forward. The players who want to be pushed forwards, because they can't really develop unless they want to move to a bigger club. If you get what I mean. Yeah.
Okay, so you think it's a good thing to collaborate?
I think it's a great thing. I don't really see any negatives apart from maybe the coach's financial sides. But if you're a coach, half the time you're doing it for the player. Half is financial, half is for the player. So I think sacrifices and what's for the greater good for the player.
Okay, Danny, your thoughts?
My thoughts is, first, rivalry is massive, and rivalry, we should never try and get rid of rivalry in competition. However,
there's a healthy rivalry, but there can also be negative.
Massively. And I remember when I was growing up, TTK, Greenhouse. I remember if you have one school playing another school, it was huge. But then you could say I was rivals with someone like Igor, and every time we played, we had that rivalry, but we would train together 3-4 nights a week. So I come from a club when I was 13, 14 in Tunbridge Wells. I come from a club that is quite well known, but the coach would completely disagree with you going to anywhere else.
Yeah.
He was only open 3 nights a week. I wanted to train 5 nights a week, so I had to go elsewhere, and then that resulted in me not being allowed down to that club. So, and some things like that can't happen. But I also don't believe that you should get rid of rivalry, because Ormsby playing Draycott Long Eaton and JBL is a massive match, and people love that.
Yeah, but then again, they have a good base, whereas me and Rory's club are quite a bit smaller compared to those clubs. And if you can't really have rivalry between really small clubs, unless you want to, you can't really grow from that.
But I'd also say Rory's in a smaller catchment here, because it is Rory's job. A lot of coaches, they do it because they want to. I'm not saying Rory doesn't want to do it, but it's not a financial gain to them. So that collaboration would just be easier. But then how does it work? I never actually know how it works in places like Sweden and Germany, where there is paid coaches, there is paid players. But
it's quite similar. I think it's quite similar in Sweden. Fredrik Nilsson, I was speaking to him. He practices in different clubs, and he's fallen out with his coach in his club, and he's going to play for a different club next season because, and he's in his 40s. So, I mean, it sounds pretty similar situation over there, to be honest.
I think it's a worldwide problem. But if we want to get any better as a nation, you need to collaborate. You need if you're in the Nottingham area, you need clubs in Nottingham being able to go in and play with the players at the Nottingham Uni. Just for an example, Grantham. When I was in Grantham, it was quite good, to be fair. We had Cliffdown Chandlers. Their players would come into the college. We would go 2 nights a week. 2 players from the college would have to go and coach at Cliffdown Chandlers. And in return, there was no payment, but they supplied our balls for our sessions if they sent a player to their coaching sessions, which is quite a good return, really. But I think collaborations need to happen, because if not, it's the only way people are going to get decent practice all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not even just decent practice. You cannot practice with the same people all the time.
Yeah.
And unless you're lucky enough to be in the England squad where you're getting the chances to collaborate with people all around the country, at a lower level, you need people to collaborate so they get to play different styles, different people all the time. If not, it just gets boring.
Yeah. Daniel, as a coach, your point of view?
Yeah, no, rivalry and all these things, before we go into that, is, of course, we need to collaborate better. If I give you an example, Greenhouse, Fusion, London Academy, etc., we don't collaborate enough. And my viewpoint on it is, if I can only provide, like Danny said, the kids in the Greenhouse Centre, if they're playing 4 days a week at our club, I always tell them, if there's no session for you on a Saturday and you want to travel somewhere, by all means, go and do that. Play as much as you can. Go, if I'm not open on a Saturday and you want to play on a Saturday, you've got to go elsewhere and play. I mean, I want them to play more than anything in the world. They can play 7 days a week, amazing, as long as they're doing their studies, obviously. But I would never ever hold anyone back in terms of collaborating, in terms of money and financial gain. People leave you. I don't have to worry about that, because I believe I provide the best service. Might sound arrogant, might sound cocky, but if I'm providing a great session with good people ain't going to leave to go somewhere else. They ain't going to want to leave. And if they want to leave, might be that actually they can get better and they're leaving for the right reasons. And I'll say, yeah, actually, you've got a great point. That club can provide you X, Y, and Z, and you want X, Y, and Z. I can't provide that. No problem. Go and leave. And I think you have to, everything is about the players themselves. And if they can go and benefit somewhere else, what I can't provide, I want them to do that. If I can be a better player playing for Ormsby than Greenhouse should want me to go. And I know it's financial and all these things, but they should want me to go, because it shows that they care about me. Yeah, if they can provide exactly the same things and I choose to leave, fine, that's dishonesty, that's not loyalty, that's all of these things, that's different. I think players need to be open. What I see a lot, it's happened a few times, a player doesn't turn up for practice or whatever, and then they're playing at a different club. But they're not telling you they're at a different club. They're just telling you, I'm not playing. And then you find out they're practicing somewhere else and they're not coming to your sessions. It's the that people don't like. And then the other club's coaches Whereas me, if someone was practicing, if a player from Fusion or London Academy or your squad come to me to practice, I'd say, Rory, by the way, I had this young man here tonight or this young girl here tonight. They practiced really hard. You should be proud of them. They was at my session tonight. Honesty, everyone's happy with that, right? But I think what happens a lot, people are too nervous, parents are too nervous to say, you know, I'm taking my kid here instead of your session. So, yeah, I think communication, again, and that is key. Jason spoke about a little bit on the ping pong show about, you know, what Paul Gorel said at the level, all the European countries need to come together. They've done that great training camp where every country come together because every country has a different way of playing. Everyone touches the ball differently. All of these things, it's going to make them better. So, of course, we need to collaborate more. Do we collaborate enough in London, Harry? No. No, we don't. I remember when I was younger, the rivalry was between the players. So Jason and Ellie, the coaches, Ellie was at Barnet or wherever he was with Zach. I was at Jason's club. We used to play matches every month. Jason and Ellie wanted to beat each other, but the players created that because I wanted to beat them. They wanted to beat me, and it was healthy. And I couldn't wait to play them. We used to play 10v10 every single month. Couldn't wait to play them. And it was amazing. And that, for some reason, that has stopped. And I think it has stopped because there's so many one-stars now. Back in the day, there wasn't as many tournaments as there is now. So, like, on a weekend, Harry, there might be no competitions back in the day on one weekend or 2 weekends of the month. Now, people are so ranking points hungry, whereas the coach that I played under wasn't interested in ranking points when I was at a certain, interested in me developing. So for me to go and play 10 matches against, I don't know if you remember them, but I'll name some, Rory'S, Guy Benaroya, just a few other players from there. For me to go and play against them and guarantee myself 10 matches in a day where it weren't ranking points, I could play my game, there was not much pressure. Of course, there was pressure on myself to win. I was able to develop.
And having the bragging rights that you've won.
Yeah, like it was really like healthy rivalry. And, you know, sometimes we won, sometimes they won.
Do you have time? Can I quickly say two things?
What I see happen now a lot, unfortunately, I don't know if Harry feels it as a player, it'd be good to get his... I feel like the parents are quite rivalry. Like parents between each other have rivalry. I don't know if the players feel it, but back when I was playing, it wasn't the parents, it was definitely the players. Like someone knew that I couldn't lose to certain people. I didn't want to lose to people, but it come from me. Maybe it's because my mum and dad weren't there, so... But I never had a parent around, like, watching me play. So, I don't know. I think rivalry is healthy if it's between the players and you know, you shake hands at the end and you say, you know, you was the girl today, you was the better man today, and we go again. But I think rivalry from parents and coaches is not what we need. Yeah, that's just really spoke for too long there. But yeah, I just think, like as I was saying, you know, we have to collaborate more, and that's that. You have to try and find a way to help each other. And if you are a player and you want to leave a club, be honest with that coach. Just say, hi coach, you know, there's a club down the road that can provide me with X, Y, and Z. Not quite getting that here. Thank you for everything you've done for me. If you ever need my help, I'm going to go here on this night tonight instead of your night. I think everyone would be happy. But I think what happens is people go behind each other's backs a little bit, and it's never nice. It's never a nice feeling for the coach, and it's not nice for the player. So, yeah, it's just not
Daniel, that's a very magnanimous response. I mean, I think if every coach had that attitude, the world would be a better place. But whether people, I think most people don't. Harry, you were going to say something, and then I'll give my.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say two things. Number one, I think a coach being open and being, you know, I had an old coach called Martin. He wasn't the best player. He knew where he could take me and where he couldn't take me any further. And when when I reached that level, then he was a good of a coach enough to recommend me to Craig, who took me, you know, extra levels. And I think a coach given that type of, you know, that builds a relationship and builds loyalty. For example, I've stayed loyal to that club now, and right there.
Wasn't that in the area though?
Yeah, but to be fair, but I have a good relationship with that, you know, as a man and as a coach, because I feel, you know, I'm in debt to him because he gave me recommendations for where I can improve and where, you know, where he knew where he could take me, and he didn't try to push himself because, you know, he knows his limitations, and also so that builds a better reputation. And also, I think tournaments are a bit too prioritised now. I think, as Dan said, there's too many tournaments, and what I've always wanted was, you know, club leagues, kind of, you know, Horsham versus Horsham Spinners, you know, five, 10 best players, whether it's adults, whether it's juniors, you know, having a go maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months, you know. You just want something regular that you can look forward to, that you can train to, that's not got the same pressures of the tournament. So, for example, if Fusion went against Greenhouse once every 2 or 3 months, you know, that'd be quite a big thing for the players, and that would generate, you know, interests and, you know, really big determination in training sessions if you made that into a proper competitive thing. So I think competitions are to prioritise being a single player sport. And I think you do need to introduce a team element to the sport, to, you know, as a different aspect to the sport to generate interest.
Okay, yeah. I've got quite a bit to say on this. So, so I mean, when I first started my club, we did friendly matches against other clubs. Interestingly, we didn't ever do them against Horsham Table Tennis Club. It was always clubs from other towns like Warden Park and Haywards Heath, Bognor Regis, Brighton, places like that. Anyway, and there was a kind of a healthy rivalry there because, you know, we were trying to beat another another team, another club, but it wasn't because we weren't in the same town. I don't think there was that kind of negative, you know, kind of selfish rivalry, because like there was no real threat of any of my players going to the club or vice versa, because they were half an hour, 40 minutes, whatever drive away. So I think it's much easier to have healthy rivalries with clubs that aren't in your town. But anyway, and I think 2 months is too often to play against the same people regularly.
Well, once every 6 months, twice a year, you know, it has to be something you can work towards.
Yeah, that could work. We've already got National Cadet League already, where the two clubs do play against each other. But
but that's
on top of that, yes, maybe once or twice a year, and a friendly match would be good, I think. I've been quite guilty of non-collaboration in the past as well. Basically, you're always worried that your players are going to leave the club, and I've had situations. Harry, let me finish.
Sorry. I'll let you go.
Situations where players have left my club and gone to the other club, and it's happened the other way around, where people have left the other club and gone to my club. But as a coach, as a coach, you kind of like to hold on to your players. That's probably, as Daniel said, it's not probably right for the player, but the coach feels some kind of responsibility. Or, you know, you've brought that player from scratch, you've brought them up to a decent level, and then they leave. It feels like almost a betrayal. But as Daniel said, I think you've got to move away from that attitude, and you've got to try and put the player first. It's not easy, especially if you're going to lose out financially, or, for example, if one of your players leaves your club, you can often have a kind of a domino effect where their friends leave, and then their friends leave, and then your club is decimated. So there are issues, but I think if the two clubs had a more healthy relationship to begin with, and they had interchanging of players attending both clubs, or having joint sessions. So, for example, very recently, I have proposed to Horsham Table Tennis Club that we run joint junior or cadet, actually, kind of training sessions. Either, first of all, I said weekly, so maybe once at our club, the next week at their club. Then I realized that probably wouldn't work out so well logistically. So I suggested to do it maybe monthly. And so I spoke to the coach, and I spoke to the chairman, who happens to be the father of one of my junior table tennis players. And they both seemed okay with it. And then I spoke to another member of the committee, and he was like putting up kind of barriers to it. And anyway, the point was it was turned down. So I felt, well, at least I've made my attempt, and I'm still interested in doing some collaboration. I'm not going to completely give up there and then. I will try again. I would like them to at least come back to me with a reason or issues which I could work towards But as of now, I've just been told no.
Was that with our club?
Pardon?
Was that with our club?
Yes, with Horsham Table Tennis Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was thinking, especially, you know, in light of the lockdown, it would be good to kind of collaborate when we got back to it. And I was thinking, you know, a healthy rivalry is good because, you know, you want to try and beat this other club. At the same time, you can train with them, so you have a wider variety of players to play against. But yeah, it's not an easy one. There's lots of considerations, especially for people who earn money out of coaching, but also just for people who kind of feel like ownership of players, which you shouldn't really feel, but it's hard not to. You feel you've developed this player and you want to see how far you can take them, and you feel that you can take them further than the other club can take them. And then the other club feels the same way. And yeah, it's not an easy one, but definitely I feel that steps should be taken to try and work together with clubs, and I'm very much open to doing that now. So yeah, it's not easy, but I think if you take steps towards doing it, I think it's going to be good for everybody in the long run. I think, you know, there's benefits to be had. You know, maybe exchange of coaches, exchange of players, or players attending both clubs. You know, what I haven't liked in the past is like if you run 2 sessions a week, which one of them clashes with another session in the other club, and the other club that one of your players chooses to go to the other club on the same night as you run a second session. But I think you just got to accept that the player has a choice, and that's it really. And you've got to respect the player's choice. Yeah. So we're running out of time, unfortunately. So I think we've got to leave it there. But I think it's been a really good discussion. So thank you, Harry. Thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Danny. Has he
gone?
We've lost you there. But good show, good topics, and we'll be back next week. Thanks a lot.
Have a good day, guys.
Yeah. Bye.